welcome to Turn Energy into Action, organizing everywhere with Mobilize. Today, we're going to talk about Mobilize and all the awesome things you can do. To kick it off, though, our agenda for today, we'll do some quick introductions. We'll talk a little bit about what is Mobilize, how you can drive more signups using Mobilize, make the most of supporter engagement, and keep your supporters engaged over time, not just one time. We'll have lots of time for Q&A, and we'll do a little bit of a direct demo as well. So with that, I'm going to do the quick introductions. So my name is Jocelyn Richardson. I'm a client success manager here at NGP Van and Mobilize, and I'm looking forward to talking about Mobilize today with you. We also have Sophia here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sophia, product manager on Mobilize. I'm excited to show you what we have on Mobilize.
Excellent. And I feel like we vamped long enough that we've got a good amount of participants, so we're going to get into the meat of it. All right. Well, we're going to kick off talking about Mobilize with something pretty relevant that I think a lot of folks have been seeing throughout the last year and a half or so, which is the No King's Day protests, which were actually some of the largest demonstrations in American history. Millions of people took to the streets to protest, lots of just engagement across the entire country, from little small towns that usually don't have any people showing up to big cities and really, really big rallies and engagement. Across those protests, Mobilize powered nearly 3 million signups, which is huge. I feel like most of the time Mobilize drives lots of signups during election cycles, but this was a period where we were just consistently seeing these huge spikes of folks signing up. 3 million, that's a lot. Supporters were prompted by the Mobilize network features. So there's a lot of features built into Mobilize that kind of automate some of that recruitment, keep people engaged, consistently, offering other opportunities up. And so in that, a lot of these supporters were quickly engaged and were able to share those events that they were attending with their friends and sort of expand that network that was coming to these No Kings rallies. Now on the Mobilize platform, we've got all these folks that have kind of joined the Mobilize ecosystem as attendees, but they are consistently now being engaged with lots of different organizations, which is very timely since we're heading into this election cycle, having all these really engaged volunteers ready to take action. So, what does that mean for us? We've got now over 11 million volunteers in the Mobilize network. So what does that mean? That means that there's a kind of ecosystem within the network that are consistently being recruited, whether from No Kings events or organizations that they participated in these No Kings Day protests, and they are now part of this network that can help organizations that are on Mobilize kind of tap in and scale their movement consistently, not just during an election cycle, but over and over. So at a high level, Mobilize is an event management volunteer platform. Often folks associate it with kind of political action. If you go on to Mobilize, often you'll see a lot of political events, but there's organizing that happens year round. So what's great about Mobilize is that you've got this volunteer network, over 11 million supporters. We've seen over 50 million actions across Mobilize since 2018. Actions being events and digital actions, all of those things occurring on Mobilize and powering that volunteer network, which allows organizations to year-round organize and keep those volunteers engaged. Even if they're not running program, there's network tools folks can use to ensure that when volunteers come to their event feed, which will show what an event feed looks like when we do the demo, there are opportunities for volunteers to engage with and consistently come back and take advantage of those moments like No Kings that generate this huge interest and kind of funnel that energy and volunteer power into kind of the day-to-day organizing that needs to happen. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to, sorry, I missed a slide. I'm going to turn it over to Sophia to talk a little bit more about how that all happens.
Yeah. So before we get into what Mobilize actually is, Let's start with the number that matters most to you as an organizer. 55%. That's how much organizers can boost their signups just from what's already built in into Mobilize. Cross promotion from other organizations, social sharing, a weekly newsletter, and the Mobilize discovery feed. So if you've ever felt like recruitment is entirely on your shoulders, every call, every post, every follow up, then sit with that number for a second because today we're going to show you exactly where it comes from and how it can work for you too. So, what is Mobilize? Um, at its simplest, it's where you post your shifts, canvases, phone banks, rallies, anything that needs people. But here is the part that changes everything. Mobilize is not just a listing tool. The moment you publish an event, it plugs into a live network of supporters who are already on the platform, already looking for something to do. And like Jocelyn said earlier, right now, that network is 11.6 million supporters. And over half of all signups come from that network, not just from your own outreach. So you bring the event, the network helps bring the people. So let's start with something every organizer knows too well: recruitment. Recruitment usually feels like it's entirely on you. You post, you share, you ask your list, and you hope. While recruitment on Mobilize goes beyond your own audience by design. Supporters find you through search. They find you through a weekly newsletter reaching over 1 million people. Partner organizations who share your mission, cross-promote your events to their own feed. And here is the one that compounds the most. Your most engaged supporters can become volunteer hosts. They can run their own events, invite their own network, and suddenly you have organizers you never had to hire. Nearly 1 in 5 signups on the platform right now comes from a volunteer hosted event. That is how the network is working for you. Next, let's talk about where it usually gets hard for organizers. Managing volunteers. Getting a sign up is only half the battle, right? Now, picture the morning of your event. You've got a clipboard, a folding table, and a list that's already out of date. Half of the names on it never confirmed. And there are 3 people in line who are not in at all. Someone is asking if they can bring their partner. Someone else is asking if the event is full. You're doing headcount math in your head while trying to greet people. That's the moment most organizing tools leave you completely on your own. While on Mobilize, we've thought about it all. Mobilize is built for that exact morning. So let me highlight some of our cool features. Group sign up means a supporter can register their whole group in one step. So your list reflects everyone, not just the one person who filled out the form. Registration controls let you close your events at a set time or the second you hit capacity. So the number in your dashboard is the same number of the people who have signed up. So no more guessing. And if an event fills up, they can join a wait list. And if a spot opens, they're added and notified automatically. So no phone calls required. Then on the actual day, there is no clipboard at all. Supporters check themselves in. with the QR code, walk-ins included, and you get a clean, accurate record of who was actually there. So that's the whole idea about Mobilize. We handle the logistics, the guesswork, the follow-ups, so you can spend your energy on the people, not on the paperwork. Um, and next slide, please. Now, this is the part that quietly drains most organizing efforts, getting people to come back. So you run a great event, people show up, and then silence. And this is where Mobilize's built-in best practices do the heaviest lifting for you automatically at every stage. So let me walk you through them to show you how we help you re-engage or keep your audience engaged throughout the whole event cycle. So the moment someone signs up, they get an email and text confirmation with a calendar invite. So the event is already on their radar, not just in their inbox. Then 24 hours before and the day of, we send a confirmation text and email. That single step gets 50% of people to confirm. And of those, 90% actually show up. And that's the difference between someone who signs up and someone who actually shows up to your event. Then after the event, we send an SMS and email survey to collect feedback. 32% of attendees respond with real, in-depth feedback about their experience. This is how you learn what's working and what to improve, and that without ever sending a single email yourself. And 5 days later, we follow up automatically with upcoming events and actions to take. So the person who just volunteered doesn't have to go looking for their next event. It's already in their inbox. So with these built-in best practices, you never have to touch a thing. They're already built in within Mobilize. And now let's just put it all together. Organizing alone means recruiting one supporter at a time, follow-up that depends entirely on your staff capacity, and volunteers who show up once with no path back. While organizing on Mobilize means the network recruits for you. Built-in best practices like reminders and suggestions run automatically. And volunteers become hosts who become recruiters themselves. So recruitment and re-engagement both run in the background all the time, whether or not you have staff capacity that week. And the results is exactly where we started, up to 55% more signups. Not from one single tool or feature like we saw, but from a network that's always in motion in the background. And that your event gets to join the moment you post on Mobilize. And if you want to see it for yourself, the QR code on the screen take you straight to the Mobilize website. And with that, I'll pass it on back to Jocelyn.
Awesome. Thank you, Sophia. I'm also going to show you mobilize.us, but we can all play a fun game together with it. One of my favorite things about mobilize.us is that it actually knows where you're located based on your IP address. So it will deliver to you, and this is for every event feed, whether you're a big national organization or a state organization, it will know where your supporters are located and will offer up things closest to them. So I live in Virginia. I have Virginia things. If you live somewhere else in the country, you will be looking at a feed that looks slightly different. And that's for a national organization, definitely really helpful, but even at a local level, it's helpful to make sure you're delivering things closest to folks. So this is what a Mobilize event feed looks like. This is kind of where your supporters interface. We're a wonderful tool for, organizers to use to organize events, but the other thing that really stands out is that the user experience is really wonderful. A lot of our users are actually the volunteers that are hosting events and signing up for events, as well as the organizers that are managing it. So we want to make sure the tool is awesome for everyone. So the Mobilize event feed really is a great way to kind of see how that works in action. There are also some special things about the mobilize.us feed specifically, so we'll talk about those in a second. But functionally, this is going to offer up things closest events this week. Again, things that are apparently there's not a lot going on in my area of Virginia, but we've got stuff in the DC area, events in my state, virtual events that I can join today, quick actions. So maybe I don't have time to actually go to an event or sign up for an event right now, but there are various petitions and pledges that I can sign up for, interest forms to indicate my engagement with an organization. There are also groups that I can join. And here you can just kind of see all of the different types of organizations that Mobilize.us is promoting. Below that is just going to be your list of all the upcoming events. So Mobilize.us promotes all organizations who opt into being promoted, which is a great way to tap into that 11 million supporters on Mobilize. Really easy to kind of get your events front and center. Some of the best ways to do that are using a functionality we call tags. You can see them in action right up here. But each event here can have up to 3 tags on them, which allow supporters to really easily find events that are interesting them. I might be only interested in get out the vote events right now. So if I click on that, it's going to filter my event feed to all of the events that have that, which is super helpful. So that's one of the many ways. We have a lot of other filters available here. So folks can actually search English or Spanish. If they choose Spanish to apply the filter, they will get a Spanish experience, which is very helpful. Your events can also be set up to have a Spanish experience as well. Um, the other filters available, you can sort by type of event, location, date range. You might be looking for a specific organization. You can also search for that as well. Oftentimes, supporters will maybe engage in a political campaign and then campaigns end and hopefully people win and then volunteers still want to volunteer. So mobilize.us is a great place for those volunteers to come back and find actions. So they may look for specific organizations, they may look for specific types of actions via tags, and then we have a whole accessibility functionality so people can actually find if they need events that require accessibility, they can actually look through and see what events might be available to them. The other thing that is great is that we have a map, and I'm going to actually show you an example of a map. This is a partner organization, Mayday Strong, with a lot of upcoming events that I recommend you all check out and see if there's any in your area. If you go in here, you will see a lovely map. So this is a great way for, again, your supporters, your volunteers to quickly and easily go find events that are in person in their area. Another really neat thing is that all of these have a unique URL. So every time you filter an event, you have a unique URL here. And what that means for you as an organization is that you can take that URL and actually recruit with it. So if you wanted to narrow down your event list to GOTV events with a tag, you could then take that URL and use that as your call to action when you send it out via email or text or on social media. So really easy way to also kind of craft customized URLs for recruitment. All built in to Mobilize, making your life easier. So that's a little bit about sort of the event feed, the events, and how to filter and what's available. I'm going to pop over and actually show you a newer feature called the Volunteer Hub. So the Volunteer Hub is very similar to an event feed, but this is a feed of all of the potential volunteer host opportunities. So Sophia and I both kind of touched on this, but I think folks saw it most live in action in a lot of the No King events, which are primarily driven by event campaigns, which is the functionality in Mobilize. It allows an organization to sort of templatize event creation and then hand it off to supporters to host their own events. So lots of organizations take advantage of this. And if you are an organization that opts into promotion and your event campaigns are public, they will display here on the mobilize.us volunteer host hub. One thing about this is that you're only going to find this on the mobilize.us feed. So your event feed may not have something like this, but if you have your events promotable in public, you'll be able to have your event campaigns right up here along everyone else's. So you can see lots of different opportunities for folks to engage with. A supporter can find the one that they might want to look into. And here you can see the organization kind of can preset all of this information here, fill it with all sorts of things, including, a host toolkit, all sorts of resources. And then the event creation portion is going to be just a templatized kind of event form. The organization themselves can control sort of what event types show up. They can add in language here that is customizable, but is kind of preset to make it really easy for a supporter to just quickly and easily create an event. You'll fill out a lot of these things, and then the most beautiful part of this is that the volunteer host, if they've never hosted an event before or don't have a Mobilize kind of user account yet, they can very easily just create their own account. Self-service, so the organization themselves doesn't need to create user accounts for every single host. The host fills out the form, hits continue, submits their email, and then can create their own user account along with their event. Ultimately, the organization will be the approver of the event. So every organization has a different vetting process for volunteer hosted events. But in that process, the organization will be able to approve the event, work with the host, and that host will be able to organize and host their own event on Mobilize, which is great. It makes the host feel like they've got this like great looking sign up page. It's really easy to use. The organization has everything housed there. It's promotable, can tap into the Mobilize network. So it's just a great solution for everyone. So that's a little bit about kind of the user as a supporter facing part of Mobilize. We're going to kind of pivot now to talk a little bit about how the admins and organizers on the platform are going to be managing those events. So this is sort of what the back end of the event feed is. We call it a dashboard. So this is a demo dashboard. Beyonce is not actually running for Congress, but this is a nice, easy way to kind of visualize what the back end of a Mobilize event feed looks like. So here you'll see upcoming events, past events. If you're promoting events, you'll see those as well. The awaiting review and verification are going to be where those event campaign events will go into before they get approved. Once they're approved, there'll be an upcoming or past event, but they kind of get put in here until those events get approved by the organization. You can kind of customize your event feed from here by doing things like pinning an event to the feed. So this little thing here, I have pinned it. You can see pin event to feed, which looks a little like this. So that's a highest priority event. So if you have really important marquee events that you want to make sure people are seeing, you can float them up to the top very easily with that pinning to the feed. Once an event is created, create new events here, you can open up the event and you'll see if you have one single time slot, you'll only see one thing here, but a Mobilize event can have multiple time slots. So this you can see there's 23 shifts in total. We've had 9 in the past and there are 14 upcoming shifts. When you create the event, there's a bunch of information that you submit. And we'll go through that on some other date, or you can join one of our trainings if you're interested. But once it's created, all that event information is there. You can go into past events and you can actually click into them and see your signups. You can also manage your signups. Another really great thing about Mobilize is that it syncs directly with Van. So when you create an event in Mobilize, it syncs over to Van. When somebody signs up for an event, they sync over to Van. When you change a status in Mobilize, it syncs over to Van. So you really can use Mobilize as your one-stop shop to manage and organize those volunteers and events and have all that data go where you need to go so that you can manage it for future targeting. Um, Go back over here to upcoming events. For the upcoming events, this event has the QR code turned on, so you can access it from here by just easily clicking on it. And then you have that, you can print that out. Sorry, go back over here. And I can click into the event itself. Here I will see all those automated messages that go out and the actual time they're going out. So Sophia talked about a lot of those automated messages that go along. So you can see each of those times when they come out. You can even add custom messages from here. Um, Here again, you can see your signups. You can do your confirmations here. But as Sophia mentioned, you can also have people self-confirm. So the day before the event, they'll receive that confirmation outreach. And if they self-confirm, they will be marked as confirmed in here without you having to do anything, which is just wonderful. I wish I had this when I was an organizer. Um, the QR code is also available from the event detail page. And I'm going to go back to edit. And if we go in and edit the event, this is very similar to what the event looks like when it is in creation. But these are all the fields you would use, all the communication that you can control. And then down at the bottom are all of these shifts. And what's really amazing about the management of these shifts is that, you set up the time and date, you can have a max capacity, and you can also control a lot of things around the shift. So if you have limited capacity, but maybe didn't put max capacity in and realize you have too many people, great problem to have signing up for the event, you can close registration for this shift so no one else will be able to sign up. You can add the max capacity. You can also set up when it should shut off. So certain events need a little bit of work before they actually get pulled off, and you don't want people signing up 10 minutes before the event, or sometimes maybe even a day before the event. So you can control when the sort of registration shut off happens. You can say, I actually really need a day because I need to vet everybody. Maybe I need to make user accounts for something or print out packets. You name it, there's something you might have to do. You can set that up as well. And then you can also enable a wait list as well as auto advance. So waitlist will just, maybe the registration's closed, but you want to make sure that if there are people who cancel, other people get the opportunity so they can sign up for the wait list. And then if someone cancels, if you turn on auto advance, it'll automatically move the next person into the shift. So it's a really seamless way to kind of manage a lot of the nitty-gritty parts about pulling off an event successfully. And then, yes, again, this is a pretend event feed, but this is what the event feed then will look like. If you click on a sign up page, this is how sign up pages will show. This one has a lot of upcoming event time slots. If there's only one single slot, you'll just be able to sign up for the event. And the beauty of this as well, if you do something like a regular monthly meeting or something, you can set, maybe six months in advance, set all those monthly meetings up, and then go back in and add more shifts, and that link stays the same. So that link could then be put in various places like your website so people can easily find the recurring meetings that they might want to sign up for. Once I sign up for the event, I will be prompted to share with a friend. So those are some of the network features that we've got. I can copy the link, post to social media, or send via email. I can also sign up for additional events, and you can customize this if you would like, or just prompt people to sign up for additional shifts or additional opportunities. So I can say, that looks great. I will phone bank and canvas for Beyonce. And then the other thing that you can do is you can actually request or ask for a small dollar donation. We will link to a donation page that you set up on your Mobilize event or your Mobilize dashboard. And then folks can make that donation very seamlessly. We like to think of it as sort of optimizing that moment. So you've got a supporter who's engaged, who's ready to take action with you and is interested. And so we're really making sure that we take that moment to really provide as many opportunities to them as possible so that they can keep engaged beyond just this event. So with that, I think we will go all the way back. Sorry, I don't mean to make anybody dizzy. To this screen and pop over here to talk a little bit about why you should start using Mobilize now. So if you're not using Mobilize already, and this is something that's interesting to you and you feel like it would be a good fit for your organization or campaign, we strongly recommend doing it now and not waiting until after Labor Day. Um, there obviously there's onboarding that needs to happen when you get any new tool. Mobilize is an out-of-the-box tool though, so you should be able to get your login and already begin creating an event right away. You can tap immediately into a lot of the network features. So even if you don't have events coming up, you can find partner organizations, promote those events, start kind of getting folks signing up for events and getting into your Mobilize ecosystem to drive some of those additional signups. And then that way your organizers and your volunteers are aware of your event feed, are aware of like how to use Mobilize, so that before GOTV really begins, they're already used to this event feed, this one-stop shop to go find ways to take action with your organization. Um, so with that, I think we're kind of at the Q&A point. And I have not been paying attention to the Q&A, so let me pull it up. Some of them have been answered. Sophia, I think you've been looking a little bit more. Are there any that pop out that we should grab right now?
Let's see, I'm already answering some of them. Maybe you can speak a bit about the IP address and the zip code
Yeah,
of the feed.
yeah. So, yeah, when your computer is associated with a location whenever you log into a network, and I'm not a engineer, so I don't know mechanically what is happening on the event feed, but the event feed has been designed to generally know your location. So, you're able to kind of open up that event feed and be delivered events that are closest to you. Um, so specific zip code is like if you wanted to search a specific zip code, you can use the filters for that. But your event feed itself will just kind of deliver opportunities. That way you don't have somebody who, me in Virginia, I'm not going to the event feed and being offered things in New York City. I'm being offered things in my Virginia area. Um, Robert asks about Markdown. Um, So we do support Markdown in certain surfaces. Uh, I think the event page, the kind of automated reminder that gets sent out, both of those you can use Markdown. It's not, changing the font and changing the color, but you can include hyperlinks and make things bold. Um, Scrolling through here. So there's a question around the Van Sync. So the updates go into any My Campaign style database. They won't go into My Voters because they are tied directly to the events feature in the My Campaign style databases. So if you're using My Voters, you would need access to a My Campaign style database to sync the Mobilize events over to. Um, There's another question around donations. For that kind of little prompt, the donation ask, it really can be whatever donation platform you're using. There's a very simple, easy way to set it up. We also offer a integration with the Every Action fundraising tools that we didn't showcase here, but there's information on our help center if you're interested in learning more. But you can set up your own fundraising events or actions, as well as use event campaigns to have kind of a distributed fundraising event campaign or action. So that uses the Every Action fundraising integration, though. So we are not actually collecting the donations. We just look like we are. It's an Every Action form. Um, Scrolling through, lots of questions about donations. I hope I was able to answer those. There's a question around if it's a free program. We do have kind of a like starter account that folks can sign up for. You can very easily go to, I believe it's joinmobilize.us. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm hoping somebody plugs it into the chat. But you can go there and set up your own starter account just to get a sense of feel how it works. It is limited to a certain amount of events and a certain amount of users and signups. But it gives you the opportunity to kind of create an event, see what it feels like, and if you're interested, you can engage further. Some organizations do qualify for a bit of a freemium account, but most organizations we have a scaling packages, so most people can find a good fit. Um, I think if it hasn't been shared yet, we'll share our help center because there are definitely some questions around functionality for folks who are already using Mobilize. And I think the help center might be a helpful resource to explore setting up your donation link. It is in the, don't want to go too deep into, nope, sorry, trying to find. Um, it is in your fundraising section here. So you're able to set up a post sign up donation. And if you do have oh, sorry, I paused my screen. Zoom. Here in fundraising, you're able to see a really quick and simple way to add that. And then if you're making use of the Every Action integration, there's a little bit more to that page that allows you to do some additional setup. So many questions. Sophia, are there any popping out? I know you're typing away with some of them.
Yeah, I see a lot of how to get started. How
Mm.
many dashboards do you get with Mobilize? How do I integrate with NGP Van? So I think we can follow up with some next steps and some links if you want to get started on Mobilize.
I don't mean to totally pivot, and we'll continue to we will continue to answer questions as they come in and kind of scroll through them. But I did want to just talk over something that pertains to Mobilize, but also NGB Van and just generally your organizing. There's a lot. So we just recently launched this kind of program, and it's really focused on kind of highlighting the amazing organizing that's happening every day. A lot of people volunteer and organize and, maybe get a pat on the back locally, but it's nice to really highlight that in a big way. So we've created this, you can go to it via that QR code. I think we'll put it in the chat, and then there's also the link there if you wanted to type it in. But we want to celebrate people, so please nominate your organizers, your volunteers. People are putting in a lot of hours to do really good work out there, and we want to make sure that they get recognized. So share with your friends, share with your networks. We would love to have folks submit that.
There's also a question about searching on Mobilize. If you can show that again on the Mobilize.us front door.
Yes.
Someone had trouble looking or finding how to search on Mobilize.
Yeah, let me pull that up really quick. So mobilize.us, again, your feed may look different depending on where you are in the country. But this is the mobilize.us feed. And there's a lot of filters you can do here if you're looking for specific things. Maybe you're going on vacation and want to volunteer where you're on vacation. You can look ahead of time and find out what's around. Maybe you only want to attend virtual events, so you can filter by that. So there's a lot of filters available. Otherwise, essentially all promotable organizations are going to be found here. I actually think this is a great way to get inspiration too. If you're like looking, maybe you have an event in mind, or maybe when we get to advocacy season and state legislatures are in session and you want to have your own advocacy day, it's a great place to go look. Like, what are other people doing? How are they setting up their events? It's a great way to kind of get your creative juices flowing, but also best practices and get some sense of how other folks do. So, also a great place just for inspiration as well as volunteer engagement. What else? Yeah, there are a lot of, I guess what might be helpful, since there are a lot of questions, there are trainings available. So definitely join some of our trainings. But I will also just show it's very kind of straightforward integration. It's self-service. So you get your API key from Van, you plug it in, and then you're able to map. Mobilize has lots of event types, so you should find the event type that you need. And then once you find it, you can map it to whatever event type you want to map it to. So most of these match one to one, but this is an example where it's a little different, and so you can make that mapping. And once that mapping is created, it's just there. So every time you create a text bank, it will always sync as a phone bank, and those signups will sync this way. And it's just kind of set it and forget it, and it'll just map over to Van. I'm also going to share just visually, and I think yes, it has been posted in there. So I'll actually just click on it. Oh, actually, there's that training page on our website, and then we also have, sorry, I'm not typing well. We also have a training feed on Mobilize that folks can make use of, where you can find both NGP van trainings as well as Mobilize general onboardings. So lots of opportunities to find training resources as well. These are all live training demos. So lots of resources for you. Any other questions? I see lots of typing happening. Lots of questions around how much it costs. It's going to depend on your organization. So highly recommend going to the Mobilize website, getting a starter account, connecting with our sales team, and finding out for you what the packaging would look like.
Also, there's a new question about, can you talk about what it means to promote someone else's events? And can you
Yes,
see who is promoting your own event?
great question. Let me navigate. Sorry about that. Um, Let me navigate to um, the promotions tab. So there is a promotions tab. Um, Always takes a minute to load because we have so many organizations on Mobilize. The closer we get to the election, a little slower it'll get. But here is where you can see all of the promotable organizations. And it's actually ordered with like the ones that have the most upcoming events, which makes it also kind of easy to find some of the organizations. But you can filter here. You might know the organization you're looking for, and then you can find it. Or you might want to filter based on maybe you're a state-based organization and you only want to look for organizations within your state that you would promote. So lots of ways to kind of filter there. We also kind of showcase some of the events or organizations you might want to promote. You can see where people are promoting you from the My Promoters page. And there's actually even a filter promoted event. So there's some filters in here if you do opt into promoting folks. Um, Once your events are promoted, you would see them here. There's nothing promoted because this is a pretend feed, but you would see them here and you would see all of those events that are promoting. A promoted event can be shared onto your event feed, and I think you see that most clearly here. So these, where anywhere you see hosted by Mobilize.us, obviously we're not hosting our own events, so these are all promoted events, but you'll see which organization it is hosted by. So you can easily just find an event you want to promote, put it on your event feed, and that will just show up alongside your other events. You can also find specific events. So maybe you don't want to go and promote an entire organization's events, but there are a couple events that you definitely would like to put on your event feed. You can really easily do that from the event sign up page. You can click promote this action, and then you can put it onto your organization page and promote it. And then that event will show up just like all the other events on your event feed. You can even pin promoted events. So if you are partnering with an organization that is hosting the event on their feed, you can promote it onto your feed and pin it so that it's very clear that that is a really important event for folks to attend. Um,
I
Another
think
question.
also maybe showing how to get started on Mobilize today, that we have
Yeah.
a free limited starter account that you can try today. If you want to try, you can create an account today. So maybe you just show the steps from four, clicking on four organizations at the top and try
Oh, yeah.
getting started with a free trial today.
Perfect. Thank you. I was going to type in the website, but I will just do that. That's easier. So from mobilize.us, there's a section here that says for organizations. You'll only find this on mobilize.us, so it's not going to be on your event feed in the future. But you can create a free trial, you can get a demo, or you can learn more. If you want to create a trial account, it will take you right here. You fill out your information and kind of, so this is your request a demo, get a free trial account. I'm already logged in, so I don't want to confuse it, but you would just continue with the prompts here and you will quickly have your own Mobilize dashboard that you can create your events on. I mentioned it earlier, it is limited to a certain amount of events, a certain amount of signups, and a certain amount of users. Once you reach that max, you will have to either purchase or you potentially can qualify for one of our grassroots accounts, depending on your organization. But this is a nice, quick, easy way to just try it out if you're interested in it and try your own events out. Um, there's a question about how to ensure RSVP data updates into Van. Once you've done that Van mapping, it will just show up for into Van. So as long as your events have mapped, the nice thing too is when you select the event types to map, the only event types you can then create are the event types you've mapped. So you don't need to worry about somebody creating an event that isn't mapped. The only event types you can create will be mapped to Van. And as soon as you create that event, it's going to sync over to Van. As soon as people sign up for the event, it will sync over to Van. So it's a pretty streamlined integration and it's very self-service. So it's a really simple, it takes maybe a little bit of time to do the mapping, but once you've done that, you don't need to do it again. Interesting question about uploading list numbers. So Mobilize is an event management and volunteer management tool, but it is not a CRM. So generally speaking, it is really people need to sign up for the events. You can manually add people if you like, but generally speaking, if you were, say, doing a canvassing event, you would create an event that people would sign up for that is the canvassing event, and those signups you would then maybe you have them train on minivan first, or maybe you have some sort of toolkit that you give them, but they would then use minivan to do the canvassing. There is an integration in minivan with Mobilize in that you can put events in minivan. So if you're at someone's door and they're interested in canvassing too, you can register them for that event as well. But generally speaking, you want people to actually sign up for the event. Um, don't be CVAN setting whenever action. There's a lot of kind of nuanced questions that I think we can either follow up with folks on individually, or you might be able to find an answer in our help center. Our help center is very robust with a lot of information on VanSync. We have a VanSync FAQ, and coming very soon, we're going to have some micro trainings on the VanSync that should be very helpful for folks. And yes, when we say van and when you see van in Mobilize, it means every action, vote builder, van, NGP, really any My Campaign style database. So if you use My Members or My Campaign, we'll integrate it. We just don't integrate on the voter side because there is not an events module on the voter side. Any other questions? We will try very hard to answer some of these um, more specific or nuanced questions. I do recommend everyone take a good gander at our help center because there's a lot in there that you will find probably a lot of the answers to your questions as well. Um, yeah, I think with that we might wrap. Please make sure to share this spotlight form with your friends, your organizers, your networks, and if you've got anyone you want to nominate, please do. And thank you, everybody. I see the thanks coming in. This will be recorded also, and we will probably be posting it early next week. So if you joined late or if you know folks who wanted to join but couldn't, do feel free to share. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.